Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here reviewing, recapping the Ready to Love, and we are on episode 3. And my name is Deborah, and we got a few things to talk about, y'all. We got a few things to talk about. If you haven't watched my recap review on the interview that Little Black Blue Kojo did on Patricia, who was the one who went home last week, be sure to check it out on my page. Be sure to check it out. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think. I've been having a good time reading all these comments from y'all. I haven't gotten through all of them, but I'm gonna watch them. I'm gonna read them later on today because let me tell you something. It is one of my highlights of my day of reading what y'all wrote. Y'all good. Y'all are good. But anyway, Patricia went home last week, and then this week the men got the power again. So we got 2 weeks of eliminating women. Be honest with you, I really wanted a man to go home this week. I did. I wanted Lamar to go home. I wanted the women to have the power this week because I really do want Lamar gone. But we're going to talk about that a little bit. But when I was watching the show, y'all, I started to figure out these 2 categories of these people because there was a lot of shenanigans this week, y'all. There were a lot of shenanigans. There were a lot of things that I didn't like, both on the men's side and the women's side. And I was like, I can't wait to get on here to talk to my YouTube family about what the hell is going on in Fort Worth, Texas. Y'all know I'm a Dallas Cowboys, and obviously they ain't making the Super Bowl. They got kicked out in the first round. And these folks here, they following the footsteps of their home team. They getting kicked out too. They ain't ready for the big leagues. They are not ready for the Super Bowl. But what I want to talk about is, do any of them have any hope? Because I know right now a lot of y'all are feeling, man, this is a bad group of people, this and that. But I want to go a level deeper, y'all. I want to go a level deeper because what I'm starting to see with some of the people, not all of them, I still see some people I like. But there's some people on my little borderline where I'm trying to figure out, are they just bad people? They're not ready to love. They're not ready to date. Or are they dating misfits? Misfits. And I'm going to tell you this about April. April was eliminated. I know why she went home. I'm good with her going home in terms of the women. I'm okay with that. I hope, I see at the end she was upset. And you know what? The whole episode I was saying about April is April doesn't seem to be a bad person. She really doesn't. There's nothing that April has said that I think that she's a bad person. But probably almost all of what I saw about April showed me that April is a dating misfit. She's a misfit. She doesn't know how to date. She seems to be very accomplished in her field. She seems to have a lot of training and education. She seems like a very smart woman. But she is very, very lousy at dating. Very, very lousy. And it's possible to be that way. It's just like a person, they're real logical, but they don't have any creativity, right? You can be very smart on your job. You can be very accomplished in your field of work. You can have a lot of accomplishments over here. But in this world of dating, which is a completely different animal, a completely different environment, April needs help. She's a dating misfit. She's not a bad person, but she is absolutely a dating misfit. And let me tell you when I really knew she was a dating misfit. At the very end, when she had her little exit interview, and she said she was a boss bitch. I said, oh, good Lord. That's like wearing window pane jeans today. Yeah, any of y'all remember window pane jeans? Do any of you remember window pane jeans? Let me tell you something. Women, calling yourself a boss bitch, a queen, anything like that in public amongst men nowadays in dating is a dating faux pas. I don't know if you guys know it. It's a dating faux pas. It's like wearing, I don't know, this is worse. I don't know what's worse these days. Calling yourself a boss bitch in a dating environment when you're sitting across from men in the context of dating is a serious dating faux pas, which means I knew right away she was a dating misfit. I don't even care if you think you're a boss bitch. That's not the point. That's not the point. You don't say it in a dating environment anymore. The last person that really drilled that home for women was Kevin Samuels. Y'all may not like him, but let me tell you, he has created a dating faux pas, and that dating faux pas is calling yourself a boss bitch in any type of dating environment. Erase it from your vocabulary. Hey, if you want to use the term because you just can't get rid of it, use it with your girlfriends, use it in the comfort of your own home, but do not do it in public. Do not do it in dating environments. Listen, I like chicken. I like watermelon. I eat pork. And on New Year's, I eat a spoonful of chitlins. I sure do. I sure do. But you know what you won't catch me doing? You won't catch me going to no corporate event and eating a plate full of chicken, watermelon, and chitlins. You won't do I just won't do it. You're not gonna catch me in no stereotypical role and label me as no a jigabug, nothing like that. You're not gonna catch me in that moment, even though I do like chicken, even though I do like watermelon, and even though I do like pork. So that's why I know that April is a dating misfit. All this conversation she was having all episode long was inappropriate. A lot of what she was doing, her tone, her delivery was inappropriate. She's a dating misfit. She needs a dating coach. She absolutely needs a dating coach to fine tune how she dates, because she doesn't know how to date. She doesn't know how to talk to men. She doesn't know how to communicate with men in a dating environment. That may be good communication at work when she's trying to assert herself at work, and she's trying to be in charge or whatever she's trying to do or show what she knows. But it's absolutely inappropriate in a dating environment, because let me tell you something, even as a woman, I was turned off by it. I was turned off. So I was okay with April going home. I really was. But just because I was okay with April going home doesn't mean that I'm going to give the other gentleman, Lamar, a pass. Absolutely not. So when I'm sitting here talking about, are these people misfits or are they just not ready to love? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say to Lamar, he's not ready. He's not ready. Did Lamar tell us that he's already had 2 divorces and no kids? 2 divorces and no kids. And it sounds like he hasn't learned anything. Lamar, I'm going to classify him as disrespectful. Because it's one thing to trip up and make a mistake and have inappropriate conversation. But if you correct yourself, if you're able to reverse that, recover, then I'm not just going to throw you all the way out. But Lamar, what I noticed that he does is he keeps continuing the conversation, even though he's already seen that the conversation has made a person uncomfortable, which means he has a lack of respect for the person that he's talking to. Even though it's a conversation that he loves, even though it's a conversation that he enjoys, his lack of respect for the person sitting over from him makes him just keep going. He's not really in the same bucket as the guy last year, Marvin. I know a lot of people say Lamar is like Marvin. No, he's not. Marvin was a connoisseur of his craft. Marvin had a business. Marvin was into a lifestyle. And what I remember about Marvin last year was Marvin didn't just always have all this sexual conversation. Oftentimes, to be honest with you, it actually was the women asking Marvin questions because they were curious about his world. They may not have been interested in his world, but they were curious. And honestly, I was too, because I didn't know much about the world that Marvin came from. And so I like to listen to the answers that Marvin had last year. I didn't feel offended by Marvin last year, but I feel offended by Lamar. And I feel like Lamar, even though you tell him that you're not interested in this type of conversation, he keeps pressing it. And that to me goes to a level of disrespect. And so when I see that he has been married twice and that he has been divorced twice, and from those marriages, I don't think that he's had any kids, my first inclination would be that Lamar was very disrespectful in his marriage, that Lamar didn't respect his wives. That's my first inclination. Beyond the topic of what he's talking about, whether or not it's crude, whether or not it's inappropriate, there's another level to Lamar which I feel is disrespectful to his audience and to who's sitting in front of him, and that I shouldn't have to keep cringing in front of you. I shouldn't have to keep drawing a boundary with you. I shouldn't have to keep telling you I'm not interested in this conversation, but you just keep going and going. And then you don't do it just with one woman, you do it with a lot of women. So to me, Lamar has an overall lack of respect for women. For women. You're not even, I wouldn't even be take it personal in front of Lamar, because I would know it's not about me. It's really about Lamar. He's the disrespectful one. And this is the way that he's going to have conversation with all women. So I don't know what he's fishing for. I guess he's fishing for a woman that's open sexually, because maybe he's a highly sexual person. Maybe in his marriage to the women he was with, maybe he felt like he didn't get enough sex in the marriage. And so now what he wants to do is he wants to find a woman that likes a lot of sex. So what he thinks he's going to do now is he thinks, well, if I talk about sex up front, then I will catch a woman who's highly sexual. I think that might be what Lamar's approach is. I think Lamar was in marriages where he wanted to have more sex than he was getting from his wives. And so now he's made a priority that the next marriage he gets into, because he does say he wants to get married and he does say he wants to have kids. I think he's decided, well, the next woman that I want to get married to, I want to make sure that she's very sexually open. She's very sexually free. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lace every conversation with a woman about sex so I can know for sure this is what she wants. Well, he needs to take a page out of Marvin's book. Marvin found his queen, Lamar, and he did it completely different. Marvin found his queen in which that woman seems to share the same sexual affinity and desire that he wants, and he did it completely different. Lamar needs to take that page, because what I think Lamar probably missed with his wives, I bet the reason why his wives didn't want to have a lot of sex with him is because Lamar is disrespectful in other ways. Lamar is disrespectful to women, period, which means it doesn't just happen in the area of sex. It probably happens in the area, period. And when a woman feels disrespected, period, doesn't matter what you're talking about with her, she's not going to have any type of sex for you. She's not going to want to sleep with you. So more than likely in all of Lamar's marriages, he was disrespectful to the women on a whole lot of other levels. Then what they did was they turned off the sex and didn't want to have sex with him. And then he's not only, he's upset because he's not in a marriage. He's in a sexless marriage or a non-sexual satisfying marriage. And he keeps thinking that the answer to his problem is finding a woman who likes to have a lot of sex. So that's the way he's going to go out here and date. But he doesn't understand that what turned the women off from sex in the first place was his disrespect. His disrespectful nature. Even the way when he was talking, Lamar was talking with Mika, when Mika said she doesn't want to have kids. And the way he ended the conversation with her was, okay, goodbye, handshake, goodbye. It's disrespectful. I understand that Mika's not a match for him because Mika doesn't want kids. In fact, I'm even kind of confused why Mika is rubbing up on Dominique. I'm really confused why Mika is rubbing up on Dominique so hard when Dominique has just said that he wants 2 to 10 kids and Mika's running around saying she doesn't want any kids. I'm so confused. It makes me think that Mika wants Dominique because maybe Mika thinks Dominique has money. What is it that makes you want to be with a man that wants 2 to 10 kids and you have said to everyone else you don't want any kids? All these men here, why choose Dominique Mika when one of the core principles of what he wants in life, 2 to 10 kids, you're not wanting or willing to deliver that? Some of you drop down in the comments, why is Mika pulling up on Dominique so hard and she doesn't want any kids? Let me know why she is making this dating faux pas. Why is she wasting her time choosing Dominique as her number one and she doesn't want any kids? Somebody tell me. I ain't figured it out yet. I'm going to have to watch Mika some more. I'm going to have to learn about Dominique more. I'm going to have to figure out what is it about Dominique that Mika is still wanting to be attracted to him over. Because that's the problem to me in dating, when you're attracted to a person and you aren't even on the same road. Remember, I've been talking about all my videos how women put themselves in trick bags because they continue on a road dating a man when the man has clearly told them he's not on the road you're on. He's not on the road, but women keep pressing forward. Women keep trying to get on these roads with these men, and then they're mad later on when a person like Dominique, all they do is sleep with Mika, but they don't want to go no further because she was never on the road he wanted to go on. So here I am. This is a perfect example. This is a perfect example of what I've been talking about in all my videos about being on the wrong road. This is a perfect example where a man has told you where his car is going, what road he's on. He's on Highway 95. I'm going south on Highway 95. Where is Highway 95 going to? It's going to an area where there's going to be 2 to 10 kids down there waiting for me. I'm driving north on Highway 95. At the end of Highway 95, it's going to be 2 to 10 kids. Mika comes along. She's about to get on a freeway. The freeway sign says Highway 95 North leads to having 2 to 10 kids. And Mika says, well, I don't really want 2 to 10 kids, but she gets on the freeway anyway. She gets on the highway anyway. Why? Why do you get on that road when you know it ain't going to where you want to go? That's what I want to know. Help me out. Help me out, ladies, men, down in the comments, and let me know why Mika is about to get on an on-ramp on Highway 95 North leading to 2 to 10 kids, and she don't want none of that. None of it. What is the pot of gold that Mika is looking for that she still wants that's making her overlook everything that Dominique has said? Help me out down in the comments. Y'all know I depend on you. But let me get back to Lamar. Lamar, even when Koshia was sitting there dating Lamar, she said, oh, Lamar, maybe if I had 2 kids and wasn't looking for something else, I'd be face down and assed up with you somewhere. Girl, he ain't even worth a good time. He's not even worth a good time. You can get peen anywhere. Why would you want to get it from a man who's as disrespectful as Lamar? Lamar ain't worth nothing, y'all. He ain't even worth a good time. There's plenty of other men that are respectful of women, that if you just want a good time, you want a booty call, you want a one-night stand, you want to get your back blown out, there are plenty of other men that you can get that from. There is no way anybody should lay down with Lamar. Not at all. Because if all you're looking for is a good time, he ain't even a good option. He ain't even a good option. We need to learn to say no to people like Lamar. Say no. Say absolutely, positively no. He tried to push up on Vanessa a little bit. He finally realized Vanessa ain't his cup of tea. Good for Vanessa. But you know what? I'm going to give Vanessa a clap this week, y'all. I'm going to give Vanessa a clap this week because let me tell you what Vanessa did well. Vanessa ain't nowhere interested in Lamar. Nowhere interested. But you know why Vanessa didn't go home this week, y'all? Because Vanessa played the game. Vanessa played the game, and that's what I was talking about. Because let me tell you something. Vanessa may still be interested in Chaz. She may be interested in other people on this show. But in order to still get a shot with Chaz, in order to still learn about Chaz, you know what Vanessa's got to do? She's got to stay on the show. And you know what Vanessa did very well this week? She played along with Lamar long enough that her name didn't come out his mouth at elimination. Her name did not come out her mouth. She held her ground. He tried to sit over there and make her scream and do all of the kind of stuff. And she says, no, I'm not going to do that. But you know how she told him? With a smile. She says, no, I'm not going to do that. And you know what she didn't do? She didn't rile him up. Because you know what? She needed something from Lamar. And you know what she needed from Lamar? She needed Lamar not to put her on the bottom, so she went home. Vanessa, I done given you a couple of points this week because you were smart. And that's what I tell people all the time. Code switching. I talk about it. I talk about that you got to be smart. It isn't just always about the way you feel. It's about how you present your feelings to other people. And what Vanessa did this week that I liked about Vanessa is Vanessa don't give a damn about Lamar. She don't respect him. She don't like him. But what she did was she kept her emotions to herself. She said, no, I'm not interested in doing that. But she said it with a smile. And she said, and then you know what? She lived another day. She lived another week to be able to stay on the show so that later on she can actually see, does she have a connection with Chaz or not? Her ego, her pride didn't get so much welled up inside of her that she killed her opportunity to maybe later on get something she wants. Now, we don't know if she's going to work out with Chaz, but at least she didn't sabotage it. At least she didn't take herself out. And let me tell you, when you don't have the ability to control your pride, when you don't have the ability to control your emotions, even when people have disrespected you, even when people are doing wrong things, then what can end up happening is you don't just get back at them because you unleashed on them. You actually end up killing your opportunity for better things down the road. So you not only took them out, you took yourself out too. But I want to say that little date that everybody went on, the fluid art date, creating that art thing. I want to do that. I'm going to have to look that up here where I am and see if there's any kind of fluid art classes. I like doing that kind of stuff, y'all. I like going to candle making classes. I like doing all that kind of stuff. And if they bring a glass of wine along with it, I love it. I'm going to have to look at one of them fluid art classes because I actually liked what they created. And I thought it was a good date. I really did think that fluid art was a good date, but the conversation was lousy. The conversation with Lamar was absolutely lousy. When Lamar was talking to Patrice about, oh, I want to touch you, I don't put my hands all over your body, all this other kind of stuff. Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. Horrible conversation. The real world, I'm walking out on the date with Lamar. In the real world, I'm walking out the date. In the real world, I'm not spending no more time talking to Lamar. I'm not doing it. But on this dating show, when I know there's things that I need to do to get to where I want to go, I'm going to handle the conversation like Patrice did. If you notice, Patrice comes up as being liked by a lot of men. And one of the things that I think the reason why the men like Patrice is because Patrice is also falling into this category of years past people like Joy. Who else was a person people like because the woman had easy conversation with men? I forget who else it is, but you often see this on Ready to Love, and a lot of women can take a page from the Joys and the Patrices of the world. Doesn't mean that they don't have things they need to, correct in their own day. Well, Joy is married now, but Patrice, there's not that there's some negatives to it, but one of the things that Patrice does that a lot of women need to understand and get to, which Koshia doesn't do, Koshia handles it completely opposite, is that Patrice understands and recognizes that a lot of men are dating misfits. They have inappropriate conversation. Some women might think that Patrice takes too much from men. First of all, she's on a dating show. And so she wants to have an opportunity to see and meet all the men. So the old saying goes, sometimes you got to be around a lot of frogs to get to your prince. That's the knowing I think that Patrice has a little bit right here. She has. You have to have a bigger goal. You have to say, you know what, am I going to let this Lamar person who really is pushing the boundaries extremely, am I going to let him stop me from where I want to go in this journey of finding love on this show? But in the real world, there would be no real reason to stay on this date with Lamar. You would walk away. But one of the things that I like what Patrice is doing out here is Patrice is allowing men to speak freely and show who they are without judging them in that moment. And that doesn't mean Patrice doesn't know it in her head. But what she's not doing is she's not expressing her judgment to them in that moment. That is a thing, y'all. There is a thing out here where you can know in your head and no one has to tell you to think differently, but you don't always have to express what you think. You don't always have to tell the person exactly what you think of them. This is what I was talking about with Patricia on her show. Hey, listen, you can think it, you can know it, but you don't always have to say those things to the man sitting in front of you, right? And what that comes off to men, the reason why people like Patrice is Patrice probably don't like half these men that think she's cool. But what she doesn't come off on is she doesn't come off judgmental. She doesn't come off bossy. And so as a result, men still look at her in a favorable light. But what they really don't know is she don't even really want them. She doesn't really want them, but she's still seen in a favorable light amongst these men, but they don't even know that she don't even really want them. She's doing a good job at forming her own opinions, deciding who she likes and doesn't like, but not always letting her internal emotions show on the outside and always come out her mouth. And that's what I like about what Patrice is doing right now. Lamar sat up here and said he connected with Patrice. And I said, oh, Patrice ain't gonna get eliminated. But the truth of the matter is, Patrice didn't connect with Lamar. She did not connect with Lamar. I don't believe it one bit. If it turns out that Patrice did connect with Lamar, I'm gonna have to do another video on her. If I find out Patrice really did connect with Lamar, then I'm gonna have to do another video on her, because that's gonna be a problem. So right now, I'm gonna give Patrice the benefit of the doubt that she was putting on a brave face. She was faking it enough because she knew Lamar and the men had the power and she didn't want to come up on the bottom. I'm going to give her a hand clap for that. I sure hope it was all game plan, because then she's going to get an A grade. But if I find out she really liked Lamar, we're going to have a problem. But Lamar said Vanessa's not for him. She knew Vanessa tried to get out the doghouse with Lamar, but it was too much. It was too much from the week before. Vanessa can't hide it. Vanessa can't hide it. She can't hide it one bit. And in the real world, it wouldn't even matter if she can't hide it from her disdain for Lamar. It wouldn't matter, because she would have the right to get up and go away from the table. She wouldn't have to date him. But in this dating world, I'm still going to give her an A for effort. And she toned it down enough that at least Lamar didn't go real hard for her. And as a result, Vanessa also didn't get put on the bottom by other men. So good for Vanessa. Hey, another person coming back, made a comeback this week, is William, y'all. William came back and sounded a little bit sane this week, y'all. I know last week we was on him hard, or the week before, because he was sounding like another person with no direction, unstable, because he was a chef, he was a comedian. He was also in the National Army Reserve. He was all over the place. He was all over the place. But this week, William's conversation sounded a whole lot better. And in fact, Patrice seemed to have some interest in William. She said she's ready to peel him like a banana. She said she's ready to peel the layers back and figure out what's going on. I mean, I know that he has boys just like I think Patrice does, or Patrice has children. So I think she found that in common with him. Should we give William another chance, y'all? Did we write him off too soon? Do we need to find out, is he stable? What is all this chef, comedian, and a National Army Reserve? Did we count him out too soon? Because I'm going to tell you, week one, I was counting William out. So maybe I need to give William another chance. Is Patrice seeing something I didn't see? Do I need to give him another chance? Do I need to open up my mind again and see what more that William has to offer? I'm okay with that, because I am a person. I know y'all may sometimes think I'm not, but I am a person who likes to give people second chances. So let me tell you, William didn't do so bad this week. So I'm willing to give him a second chance. I am. I'm willing to listen to more what William has to say. I'm still leaning to the no. I really am. But I'm willing to open one of my ears. Let's say this. I'm willing to open one of my ears. I ain't got both open, but I'm willing to open one of them. What more you got to say, William? I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you before I close the door all the way. But when Patrice was talking to William and she was talking about she tired of driving 45 minutes to see men all the time, I was kind of worried. Patrice. I don't know, Patrice. What you doing out here? What are you doing out here? I hope you're not a real people pleaser. Fake people pleasing. Patricia last on that interview I was doing, she's a fake people pleaser. But I hope Patrice is not a real people pleaser to the point that she gives people too many chances. She overlooks too many things. She does too much, and she doesn't require enough of her partner or her mate. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. I really am. But I tell you, when April was sitting there talking to Lamar, no matter how terrible Lamar is, her questions and her line of questioning and the way that conversation went, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And I know what some people are going to drop down in my comments and say, because y'all say it all the time. A lot of people have this notion out here where they say, well, I'm going to give April a pass because she didn't really like Lamar anyway. That don't have nothing to do with it. Practice makes perfect. No, I think that when April was sitting and April was talking to Pretty much everybody. Not only Lamar, also with Jonathan, because I didn't find Jonathan disrespectful. I didn't find Jonathan disrespectful to April, but the way that April handled the conversation with Jonathan says she's a dating misfit. She is an absolutely dating misfit. Even when she was tussling with Lamar, and Lamar was getting upset about her prying about his last relationships or this and that. You know, like I said, I don't have nothing really for Lamar. I mean, he's horrible. But the way that April handled Lamar, I thought told me a lot about her. Even when Lamar said to her, well, what does that have to do with anything? And April said, because I asked. I said, girl, ain't nobody 5 years old. No one is 5 years old. You're not their mother. You're not their mother. You're not in charge of them. You should have gone down a completely different path. You should have gone down a completely different path. But the fact that you responded to Lamar with that, because I asked, that told me a lot about you. It told me a lot about you. And let me tell you something. If you can't handle conflict with anyone, you can't handle conflict in an actual relationship environment. What this told me was April doesn't know how to resolve conflict with a person. She doesn't know how to navigate through a conversation in which she may not like the conversation. She may be upset in the conversation, but she doesn't know how to navigate it. And let me tell you, if you ever get in a relationship with a man that she likes, if she's ever in a relationship with a husband, that husband is going to say or do something that she doesn't like. And if this is how she navigates conversations when she's upset, or doesn't like an answer someone gives her, it's a problem. That's why I don't give that pass when people say, oh, it's because she doesn't like him. Nah, because in the moment when I'm arguing with my husband, I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't like what's coming out of his mouth. I don't like the way he's behaving. I may not even like what he's saying to me, what he's saying. I may not like none of it. But if the way you handle conflict in a moment when someone is saying, doing something you don't like, if that tells me a lot about how you resolve conflict. And let me tell you, she doesn't know how to resolve conflict within conversations, because not only did she do it with Lamar, who, yes, he was disrespectful, he was crude, he was all those things. She also did it with Jonathan. And that told me that the problem, the dating misfit, the conversation misfit lies with April as well. It absolutely does. April was exerting this type of energy as if she had authority over the people. Let me tell you something. When you ask a question that you may want to know and you feel that the question is appropriate, because I think April believed all her questions were appropriate. And I'm not even saying that her questions were inappropriate, the ones she was asking Jonathan. But once someone draws a boundary on their, whatever their boundary is, and Lamar was drawing a boundary and Jonathan was drawing a boundary with April, what I didn't like that April did was April continued to cross over their boundary. And in fact, she demanded answers. She demanded answers. Now, I don't like that approach, because when she asks a question, even if it's something that she wants them to answer, once a person draws their boundaries, I believe people should respect their boundaries. It's no different from what I said about Lamar. I thought that his questions and the way he was badgering women or inserting himself in women, I thought it was disrespectful. And I'm going to say that the way that April had conversations with both Lamar and Jonathan, I felt was disrespectful. Because let me tell you something. When a person draws a boundary, you need to respect their boundary, even if it's in conversation. You don't need to keep pushing past it. Now, what you can do with it, they drew the boundary. What you can say is, hey, I don't think they should have drawn a boundary there. I think it was wrong. You say this to yourself internally. And then what you do is you pivot and you move on. You pivot and you move on. But what you don't do is you don't sit there, keep knocking on the door, kicking the door down because you think they've drawn a boundary where you don't think they should have. That's not for you to do. That's not for you to push through boundaries people have set. Women are real clear when they don't want men pushing through their boundaries. But here you did have two men, both Lamar and Jonathan, drawing boundaries for April. April not liking the boundaries, pushing through the boundaries, and then demanding answers. That was inappropriate. Inappropriate. And I don't know if this is a dating misfit or if this is a problem with her. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say it's a dating misfit. But it's a big one. It is a big one when people don't respect other people's boundaries. And like I said, it was a problem with Lamar not respecting the boundaries. We're going to talk about Alonso later. And April also didn't respect boundaries of the men, even if she didn't agree with the boundaries. That's not the point. The point is they drew the boundaries and she pushed past them and she fought them over their own boundaries. And that's disrespectful, period. But in that conversation she had with Jonathan, Jonathan is, he's barely eking out this little information about himself. We saw some previews coming up later on. April was asking him about his last relationship. It's fuzzy, y'all. It's fuzzy. Were they married? Were they not married and they had a child? I'm still trying to figure out, is Jonathan not truthful, or is Jonathan a misfit? Is Jonathan a liar, as some women are trying to describe him as, or is he a misfit? Because I know that Mika wrote him off as baby mama drama. I think April wrote him off as baby mama drama because they asked him some questions about the relationship with him and the mother. And they said, well, is that relationship still open? Did you double back? He said, yeah, I double back, which a lot of people do. A lot of people double back. But he did say that the doubling back happened over 2.5 years ago. So if I'm sitting there and the doubling back happened 2.5 years ago, I'm not so concerned. It'd be different if he doubled back last month. So he did clear that up and say, yeah, well, I doubled back. We did break up and then kind of have that fuzzy moment. And that was 2.5 years ago. And then they asked him a question about, well, if the mother could be with you, do you think she still wants to be with you? And Jonathan said, yeah, I do get that from her sometimes, that she might still want to be with me. And he was honest. And what the women concluded from that was that, oh, that's baby mama drama. I don't know if I go there that fast. I really don't know if I go there that fast. I don't know if having an ex that would take you back in a heartbeat means that you're undateable. Because that's kind of what Mika and April said. That he cleared up that, hey, I haven't doubled back on that woman for 2.5 years. But if you ask me here and now, truthfully, would that woman take me back in a heartbeat? Yes, she would. If she could, she would. And there are a lot of women who could say that. Think about it, ladies. Is there a man in your life that would take you back in a heartbeat? Even some of your exes, even some of your baby daddies. Would they take you back in a heartbeat? Does that make you undateable? I don't think so. And what I think maybe the misfit in Jonathan was that answering that question truthfully put the women on alert. It did. So maybe his misfit in dating was he probably should have a different answer to that question, because what it does is it does put women on alert. So if he's not interested in that woman, that baby mama coming back, he answered the question wrong. What he should have told the ladies when they asked him, would that woman want you back? What he should have said, well, that doesn't really matter whether she does or not, because I'm not interested in going down that road again. It's not anything I'm interested in. So whatever she wants, it doesn't matter, because I've been there and done that. I'm not going back there. That's the answer he should have given. And because he didn't give that answer, there's a lingering question in all our minds. Is he still interested in that woman? Is he leaving the door open for her? And that I don't know yet. I don't know that yet. I need to figure that out with Jonathan. So just like William, I'm not going to close both my ears to Jonathan. Maybe one of them is a little clogged up, but I'm going to keep the other one open, and I want to ask more questions. I want to figure a few things more out. Did he just give a wrong answer? Or is there really baby mama drama there? Because one of the things that Jonathan told us, even the first episode, that one of the things that got him in trouble in his marriage, what he said was he was trying to please her too much. Remember in that game they were playing about, I think, and they were asking these questions, and the person who was the one that said he was overly pleasing the woman, it was Jonathan. Jonathan's also the one that says he likes sucking toes. He likes doting on his woman. He said that too. He also mentioned, even in the conversation with April, he said he realized he had a communication problem, that he would sweep things under the rugs, that he wouldn't say things, although he was feeling them, and then they would build up. Okay, so what I'm wondering right now, is Jonathan in some way a people pleaser? Is he a people pleaser? One of the things that I notice about Jonathan is he does ask the women a lot of good questions. He asks them what their love language is. He actually seems very interested in getting to know about the women. He actually seems more interested in wanting to know about the women in some ways than he is interested in telling about himself. This also is pointing to a person who wants to learn a lot about you because they want to learn how to please you. They want to, this is the conversation, how people pleasers speak. They actually are really interested in knowing about you, knowing what you like, knowing what you don't like, because in a lot of ways, they're looking to how I'm going to please you. And that may not be such a bad thing with Jonathan, that he's interested in knowing what your love language is, what do you like to do for fun, what makes you happy, what this, what that. Because if he's a people pleaser, he's asking all these questions because he wants to know how to please you. And let me tell you, if he was a people pleaser, more than likely, of course, that woman would want him back. Because let me tell you, if he concentrated on pleasing that woman a lot, she's sitting over there in the corner saying, damn, I wish I had him back because he was pleasing me a lot, but maybe she didn't appreciate it. Maybe she took advantage of it. Maybe she was inconsiderate and a taker. And now what she's lost is she's lost the person who was pouring into her. That could be the scenario. It really could be the scenario. So like I said, we need to keep an ear open to Jonathan. We need to keep an ear. We need to learn more about Jonathan. The other good group date they had was that little bowling date they went off. It was Alexis. It was Alfonso, Jonathan, and Koshia. Or Koshia. It's not Koshia. It's Koshia. Early in the episode, Chaz said he liked Alexis too. I knew he would like Alexis. I knew it. I know who Chaz likes. I wouldn't be surprised if later on Alexis actually becomes more of his favorite than Vanessa. Something tells me that Chaz wants a woman with no kids and who looks like Alexis. And I think Alexis fits Chaz better. In my mind, I'm thinking she does. I know he likes Vanessa, but in my mind, I feel like Alexis might be more with Chaz. I don't know if Alexis is going to like Chaz, but I actually see them together a little bit more. But we didn't see too much of that going on right now. We didn't see it. But in my mind, I'm seeing them more of a match than Vanessa and Chaz. I think Vanessa and Chaz may have a connection in the way that they think. I do. But in their actual life, I'm not for sure. Because also Vanessa tells us she has 2 children. Vanessa told us that not only does she has 2 children, and their ages are quite a big difference in age. One was 5 and one was 16. That's telling me that I think Vanessa might have more than one father of the baby. I don't know because otherwise that would mean Vanessa would have had to been with this man for over 16 years. And I don't think that her last husband, she was with him that long. And now Chaz going from no kids to now going to a woman who has 2 kids with 2 different fathers. That might be too much for him. They may vibe intellectually. They may vibe in their personalities, maybe even in their conversation, but I'm not sure their lifestyles line up. In my mind, if it comes down that Chaz and Alexis have good conversation, we haven't seen them speaking. If they end up having good conversation and any sort of chemistry, Chaz is going to choose Alexis over Vanessa. Chaz is going to choose Vanessa. He may like the elegance of Vanessa. He may like all of that about Vanessa. But what will be the deal killer if Vanessa has 2 kids with 2 different baby daddies and doesn't want any more kids. And if Chaz wants kids, it's going to end up being that he goes with Alexis. And this goes back to what I was talking about, the wrong road. The wrong road. That's why I say being on the right road is more important than anything else. Because what difference does it make if we connect here? What difference does it make if we have chemistry? What difference does it make if I find you attractive and you find me attractive? If I'm on Highway 95 going down a road where I want kids and you don't want any kids, what's the point? What is the point? And we might get there with Chaz and Vanessa. What's the point? Who cares if y'all got chemistry? You ain't on the same road. You ain't going to the same destination. So what difference does it make? But the date at the bowling alley was a good one. The ladies were acting as if they had fun. They were keeping a friendly banter. They said, well, what if we win? What do we have to do? They learned a lesson from the last season when before they was giving out kisses for winning. These ladies said, nope, you got to do a chicken dance. I like that about them. They were having good conversation. You were learning more about Alfonso. Alfonso, we're going to have to figure out, is he a dating misfit or is he just a throwaway? And I'm going to say this because I know a lot of y'all going to disagree with me on Alfonso too. One thing is I think Alfonso is he's immature. I know he's 35, but he's immature. He's kind of even an immature 35. His conversation and some of the things that he talks about is inappropriate. Alfonso reminds me of a man who is 35 years old, but he's not getting a lot of sex from women out here. He's not. Because women, I bet a lot of women don't see him sexually because he kind of acts childish and a little bit foolish, and that's not sexy to most women. It really isn't sexy to most women because it's kind of childish and foolish. But I'm going to say this about Alfonso. I'm not ready to call Alfonso as disrespectful as Lamar was. Okay? I'm putting them in two different categories right now. Did Alfonso gaslight the hell out of Koshia at that next dating thing? Absolutely. He gaslit the hell out of her. He tried to act like and say, well, why are you assuming that when I ask you, do you want to be choked or spanked, it's about sex? Boy, go sit over there. You must be used to talking to 22-year-olds. Anybody knows that was a sexual connotation question. So no, Alfonso, you wrong. And you tried to gaslight Koshia. But we're going to talk about that as well. But I think Alfonso is very immature. I don't think he has a lot of really solid relationship experience. He may be out here dating, but I think he's immature. He doesn't have self-control in his talk. So right now, I'm going to give Alfonso the same benefit of the doubt I gave April. And that is, I'm not going to put him in the category of Lamar, but I'm going to put him in the category of a dating misfit. He has a lot to learn about dating. But there's something about Alfonso where I don't think he's just a horrible person. I don't know. I'm not getting those vibes from him that he's just not a nice person. I'm getting the vibes from Alfonso that deep down he might be a nice person, but he's a dating misfit and he has inappropriate conversations so early in this process of getting to know people. I really do. Because even though he crossed the line with Koshia, and he said things that he shouldn't have said, he did come back later and apologize, but he also gaslit her. So that is a problem. The gaslighting is a big problem. But at least he was able to have some sort of recognition that it was inappropriate, but he didn't take full ownership of it. That was the gaslighting. So it was a recognition, but without ownership. But Lamar, on the other hand, has no even recognition of what he did. And he's too old and have been in too many marriages not to know. So that's why Lamar, I'm kind of closed off. He's been in 2 marriages. He's had a lot more relationship experience in marriages. And he's out here doing things that, to me, you should have already learned. Alfonso is coming off as a person as if he's doing things he should know because he is 35. But I'm going to give him a little bit more leeway to figure it out. Just like I'm going to give April leeway. She needs to figure it out. I'm not going to cast them and put them in the bucket as horrible people. I'm not going to do that. But we shall see with Alfonso. We shall see. Like I said, one ear, Alfonso. You only got one ear left. Don't clog it up. Don't clog it up. But I will say this about Koshia, and we saw it before. We know Koshia is very emotional. She flies off at the handle. She's going to be our pop-off girl of the episode or the season. And in terms of Koshia's emotions sitting in front of Alfonso, when Alfonso was gaslighting her, Alfonso was childish, all of it. It's not that I disagree with any emotion that Koshia had. My red flag with Koshia is what I tend to have with a lot of people, and it may not be that it's not that I don't understand their emotions, but what I do not like is that a woman of Koshia's age should have better control over how she responds to a person like Alfonso. She reprimanded and talked to him like he was a little child. She leaned in. She used body language to me that I thought was quite aggressive. And I just think there's a better way. I do. I just think that there's a better way to handle people. And I think that this is the difference in when I talk about dating misfits versus being a wrong person. And I'm going to even give Koshia the benefit of the doubt. And I'm going to say that she also is a dating misfit. I'm not going to say that she's a horrible person, because once again, what I saw with her was the inability to handle conflict well. Conflict exists everywhere. It exists on the workplace. It's going to exist in your marriage. And if you don't learn how to handle conflict, you won't have a successful relationship. And we know that Koshia has been married before. So when I see people who have been married before, which means they have a lot of relationship experience, and then when I see them in a conflict situation and I don't see any restraint from them, I don't see them stepping up and becoming a better communicator, even when their emotions are negative, I say, dang, I could see how your relationship fell apart. I could see how your relationship fell apart. I mean, the way that Koshia handled Alfonso, even with all the things I say Alfonso did wrong, it wasn't a proud moment for me with Koshia. Did I understand it? Was there a part of me that said, ooh, she got Alfonso all together. Good for her. She told him off really, really well. Yes, there's a part of me that liked that, the way she handled him, because he was out of bounds. He was foul. But when I'm looking at Koshia and I'm evaluating her in the dating world, in the communication world, in a partnership world, I'm saying, nah, sis, that isn't the way that a woman who's been married before should have learned how to handle conflict. I don't think so. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, because a lot of people believe that just because you feel it, it should always come out just the way you feel it. And I don't believe that. I just don't. Even when Alfonso was sitting there in front of her talking about stuff like, well, what if we had a pregnancy scare? You know what my response would have been to Alfonso when he said, well, what if we had a pregnancy scare? I would have said, oh, has that ever happened to you? Do you have unprotected sex? I would have flipped it. I would have flipped it on him. When people ask you inappropriate questions, you can become offended by the question and get in your feelings, or you could flip the question and put it back on them and get more information from them. Let them answer their own inappropriate question. When they want to make you uncomfortable, as Alfonso says, I like to make people feel uncomfortable, flip the question on them, ask them the question, and put them back in the hot seat. You want to ask inappropriate questions? Why don't you answer your own inappropriate questions? I don't need to sit around and say, I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Well, what about you? Have you ever had wow, that's an interesting question. Have you ever had a pregnancy scare? What happened? How did you handle it? I never have to answer the question. Never. I don't have to sit around and say, I'm not answering that question. I might have been offended. I may not have liked the question, but I don't need to sit here in this moment and have to handle conflict, have to handle uncomfortable situations in the way you expect me to. Because maybe that's what Alfonso likes to do. Push buttons to see how you handle conflict. Maybe that's his game. It's not a good game. It's not a good game. But if you want to play that game, I might have to have you get burned by your own game. But you're not going to get me sit up here and act a fool. You're not going to get me to eat some fried chicken, some watermelon, and some chitterlings in front of you. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. But Alfonso absolutely was gaslighting Koshia. That's a big red flag. Like I said, I barely got one ear open on Alfonso, but I'm going to keep one open because something in my gut, and I could be completely wrong. We're only in episode 3 or whatever. Something in my gut tells me that Alfonso is a big dating misfit. But down deep in Alfonso, I think he might have he might not be such a bad person. I don't know, y'all. I might be wrong. And I know I know a lot of y'all gonna have different opinions, but I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna still give Alfonso one ear, y'all. Have you closed both ears to Alfonso, or are you still giving him one ear? Now with LaRon, unfortunately, y'all, I gotta close both ears. I think with LaRon, I gotta close both ears. And you would say, hey, why did I give Alfonso one ear and I didn't give LaRon both ears? I don't know, maybe it's going off my intuition. But LaRon keeps repeating this same phrase of he likes to be in the club from Wednesday through Sunday, and he's still looking for someone to give him a reason not to get out the club. And I'm going to tell you, it just screams wrong road. It's the wrong road. See, the thing about Alfonso is I haven't figured out if Alfonso is on the wrong road, where he's going. I'm having a problem with what he's talking about right now. But when I said about Alfonso is he hasn't given me any notion that he's on a road going somewhere where I don't want to go. I don't know. Does Alfonso want kids? Is he on the road? LaRon, on the other hand, has given me enough information to tell me he's on the wrong road. Where LaRon is going, if I'm a woman that wants to get married and have kids, he's not on that road. He's on a completely different road. So with LaRon, my ears are closed. I'm not getting on the freeway with him. I'm not even listening anymore because he's actually told me enough that what highway he's on is not the highway I want to go. LaRon is in the club. His highway is leading to Club 54. He's told us that. I'm on Highway 95 going east, and it leads to Club 54. And I'm not going to Club 54 if I want to get married. I'm not on Club 54, the road to Club 54. And that's where LaRon is going. Club 54, where they got some good fried catfish. That's probably why he be in the strip club all the time, because he's there for the fried chicken wings and the fried catfish. That's where he's going. Highway 95, Club 54, where they got good fried catfish. And then asking Patrice, are you going to take your turkey necks to go? Because if not, can you put them in a doggy bag so I can take those too? LaRon, boy, don't nobody get on no road with LaRon. Do not get on no Highway 95 with LaRon, please. We didn't see that much with Chaz. We didn't see that much with, but we did see that he was liking Alexis. We saw that he liked Laylin. Mika, like I said, is still liking Dominique. Maya's liking Jonathan. William like Maya. So we can kind of see who people are liking. But in the end, April went home, and I didn't have no problem with that. I really didn't. So hopefully next week when the women have the power, they'll go ahead and send Lamar packing. I can't imagine anybody else going home but Lamar. If Lamar doesn't go home next week, it will be an epic fail. An epic fail. Anyway, let me know down in the comments, y'all. Who do you have one ear open to? And who do you have two ears closed? Let me know down in the comments. Use your emojis with your ears. One ear for who you got one ear open to. And then let me know who you don't have no ears open to at all. Talk to y'all later. Bye.